But first, 2,000 new jobs over 5 years. That's the prediction for a city struggling with unemployment. After a decade of planning, a new high-tech engineering corridor is finally emerging in Wolverhampton.
Last night, Jaguar-Land Rover got the green light to build its new engine plant, while neighbouring businesses have told the BBC they're winning international contracts and recruiting fast. There are also plans to build an academy to groom the next generation of skilled workers. Ben Godfrey reports.
Goodrich Actuation Systems employs more than 1,000 staff in Wolverhampton, making flight controls for the likes of Boeing and Airbus. It's high-skilled engineering, which has just been rewarded with international contracts that should preserve this business here for 30 years.
We're recruiting both in terms of engineering, highly technical skilled staff, as well as machinists and fitter testers across the site. And with the highly skilled workforce in the area, there's no end to the success we could have.
Regeneration of the city's northern limits is underway. These aerial pictures show a new high-tech corridor alongside the M54. It's now an enterprise zone, but for almost a decade, the i54 site struggled to take off. That was then, and this is now. After a very bumpy start, this site is seeing 3 multinational companies moving in, bringing more than 1,000 jobs. There's Jaguar Land Rover's engine plant. But the aerospace firm Moog and lab testing company Eurofins got here first. They'll open in the spring. A new road network's also planned.
We will be looking to, or Staffordshire County Council and Wolverhampton City Council will be funding the new motorway interchange that'll give the site direct access to the M54.
In a city with one of the UK's worst employment records, there could be a new training centre, preparing the next generation of local engineers for new employment opportunities.
We anticipate several hundred more jobs being created in the supply chain industry. So they're likely to follow, leading to around 2,000 jobs possibly over the next 5-6 years.
And international eyes are watching. Goodrich Actuation Systems is in the process of being bought by a US firm, which could create one of the world's largest aerospace businesses. Ben Godfrey, BBC Midlands Today, Wolverhampton.
With us now is Professor David Bailey from Coventry University. Thanks for joining us, David. This is all very encouraging, albeit a long way off, isn't it?
It's hugely positive news. It anchors Jaguar Land Rover in the region. Remember, this is a company that supports as many as 75,000 workers in the UK, directly or indirectly. Huge amount of research and development there as well. But it will create jobs. We saw there maybe 750 jobs directly, more in the supply chain, although we don't know how many more quite yet.
And it's good that it's about manufacturing, isn't it? Because that's the sort of original heartbeat of the region.
Very much so, and it's what we're still very good at. It's still more important in this region than in other regions. And we are seeing great success in the automotive sector, in aerospace, in companies not just like Jaguar Land Rover, but also JCB, which are exporting. There are other manufacturing sectors that are struggling, though, like materials and metals.
I mean, being more specific, we've got the Jaguar Land Rover factory coming along, and also this increased pay and bonuses for workers at JCB.
Both of them are doing very well, but partly because they've got excellent products, and partly because they export to emerging regions of the world. Places like China, Brazil, Russia, India, they are really growing very quickly, and where there's a demand for their products. It's companies that are focused more on the UK and the Eurozone, which are seeing slower growth, and the prospects aren't nearly as good.
Yeah, but there is still a climate of fear, isn't there, about jobs particularly? I mean, what about someone who's got a job right now? Will that person have his or her job next Christmas?
Well, it depends very much on the sector that they work in. Those in the public sector especially are seeing a lot of cutbacks at the moment. It depends on which sector they're in, which company they're working for, and whether they're orientated towards the growth markets. We will see, sadly, I think, unemployment rise over the next year, and we're seeing manufacturing slowing down. And that's important because we thought that that would be the creator of a lot of jobs. So we're going to go see a pretty turbulent 2012, given the headwinds that are coming from overseas, the Eurozone, but further afield as well.
I think the Deputy Governor of the Bank of England said yesterday that he expects the next half of 2012 to be tough, but then there could be signs of real growth after that. Do you see it that way then? Broadly,
yes, and I think there's an issue about how tough it's going to be, whether we dip back into double-dip recession over the next few quarters. Beyond that, then how quickly we grow. But it's very difficult to tell. We don't know what's going to happen in the Eurozone, whether that goes belly up or whether they manage to sort those problems out. The US economy is growing slowly as well, and there are fears about a kind of a slowdown in China as well. You put all that together, that's a pretty tough external environment.
OK, David Bailey, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, let's catch up with the rest of the day's news now.